How's it going, John?
It is going well tonight, Eric. How are you?
I'm really good. I had an enjoyable week, I think.
Do you remember what you did?
I do remember at least the one thing I remember that I wanted to talk about that I did this weekend. But I did several things this week.
Good.
That I enjoyed.
It was Father's Day.
Yeah.
I would think you should remember something about Father's Day.
Yeah, Father's Day is it was nice.
Awesome.
Of course, I got to pick what we had for dinner, and I guess what I chose.
Meat.
Yes. So I decided on steaks, but I wanted steaks and mashed potatoes and
Please
grilled
say gravy.
asparagus. No gravy.
Oh, come on.
Sorry, we did garlic mashed potatoes.
Oh, garlic mashed potatoes are good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You can be forgiven.
But we had these steaks, and I had never tried this before. But as I'm rummaging through getting the charcoal up and in my little chimney to go out to my little Weber kettle grill, I noticed this small bag of hickory chips, which I think my wife had got for me years ago. I mean, they were old. And I thought, I wonder if I could figure out how to smoke. Because I remember seeing something or hearing something where I got them back when I had a gas grill.
Mm.
And there was this little metal box you were supposed to put them in, and then it would heat up and they would smoke. And so I ended up soaking them in water for about half an hour. And then when I went and, I got my charcoal all up and running, and then dumped it out of the chimney and into the thing, made a nice little hole, flattened it out at the top, and then dumped the now kind of soaked hickory chips just kind of in the center on the top of the charcoal. Then put my steaks. I only salted the steaks. I didn't put any other seasonings or flavorings on them. And then I put the lid on and closed all the vents to try to keep the temperature low. And they turned out so good.
That's awesome.
I actually got a hickory flavored steak, which I had never tried before, but
that's fantastic.
I had a nice tasty steak, and the family all agreed I should try that again. So I have discovered a new way to make steak.
I think I couldn't go back. Like we have a gas grill, and I just don't think I could go back to the charcoal. Just for I think it's I love the ceremony of it, but I grill a lot, like a lot. So I couldn't only do that on weekends or when I had like a half an hour to set it up or something. I don't know. We probably grill 2 or 3 nights a week in especially in the summer, less in the winter when it's drippy out there, but
I have been looking at, I'm replacing my deck. We have a very tiny deck, and it's not out the kitchen door, and it's not very useful because it's so small. It's pretty much just a small gangplank to the stairs to get down to the backyard.
Gangplank.
So we're replacing the deck, and now I will have room to actually have a reasonably decent sized barbecue. And so I started looking at pellet barbecues. Have you seen those?
Well,
they're a little bit pricier, but you get
like
the actual
Traeger
wood,
or a Green Mountain Grill.
Well, those brands I think create pellet stove. You feed them with pellets.
Mm-hmm.
It's electronic ignition, and you can get hickory pellets or whatever kind of pellets you want. So it actually burns wood.
I have this,
and will give you that wood's flavor. So
it's actually it's really good.
Yeah,
it's really good. So do you want my recommendation on air?
Yes, because I've just been thinking about it. Don't get
the big one. I got the big one because, of course, I did. But but honestly, you probably don't.
Is that your Wi-Fi one?
It is. It's my Wi-Fi grill. I got the Green Mountain Wi-Fi grill. So I do recommend the Wi-Fi, but I don't think I would get the big one because I've never cooked anything on it. Well, that's not true. I cooked 2 pizzas once. But short of doing 2 pizzas at the same time, which, I mean, no, you don't need to do that very often. You're better off with a smaller one so that you don't have to try to heat and get the smoke all in the same, in such a large cavity. So I would say get the, I think there's maybe 3 sizes. So go for Mama Bear. Don't go for the Daddy Bear. But at some point when we're not socially distanced and everything else, if you want to come over and check out the grill, I can show you how it works. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I knew you had that. I didn't realize that was a pellet grill.
Yes. And that's awesome because you can basically set it at, 215 degrees and let it cook for, 6 hours or something like that, which I've done for the briskets, which is awesome. Awesome. Super, super mega awesome. But
all right.
But yeah, no, that's my ceremony one.
Got it.
The gas grill is just, fire it up, throw on hot dogs or burgers or chicken or skewers,
right.
Veggie skewers, that kind of stuff.
I do. I guess that is one thing that I do miss about the gas grill, being able just to walk out and do that. But I don't know if it's placebo, but I do like the charcoal.
You like the smoke
versus the gas stove.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay. Well,
welcome to the Mostly Barbecue podcast.
Welcome. Well, yeah, sorry. That's me. That's me. Okay. So Father's Day was good then.
Yes. Fabulous.
Awesome. I also kind of quote unquote controlled the day. And so I'm like, I want to go to the beach. So we actually took the dogs and drove out to the beach and listened to a book. And, we all had our masks and, were wearing them even on the beach, but, just pretty much went for a walk, got a pizza takeout and went and ate it at a picnic table, and then kind of just drove around the beach town for a little while, and then got ice cream and came home. So it was a great day. But between the pizza, which we pretty much were like, look, we have to try to finish this pizza, and the ice cream, we actually didn't do a Father's Day dinner. It was, do you want to eat? No, I don't want to eat. Do you want to eat? No, I don't want to eat. So
I still have plenty of pizza.
Yeah.
I can feel it still.
We're still digesting the pizza. So that was fun. So that was good. A good weekend. A good weekend was had by all. So
awesome.
All right. I threw one thing into follow up here, which is about Magecart, and I kind of threw it into follow up because I was like, we've talked about Magecart before. So I looked it up real quick, and we did on both episodes 111 and 111 and 96. And, Magecart is a online skimmer. So the point of this article, there was a couple of points of the article. The meta point is that lots more people are buying things online these days.
Uh-huh.
And in so doing, it's causing a attractive target for more cart skimmers, and then the second thing about this is there were 2 examples in here of the sites that got compromised. The first of which was NutriBullet. Do you have a NutriBullet?
Right.
I might have or have.
We have
one.
the Magic Bullet.
Oh, that's I think what I'm thinking of. So they probably don't want to be confused. They probably would be offended if we confused those 2.
Yeah.
But the thing with this disclosure was that the security firm that found it wasn't able to get in touch with the site owners at when they discovered it. so they actually went and took down the infrastructure that was being contacted, like command and control infrastructure. But then since the site wasn't fixed, they got a new skimming operation deployed just a few days later. And then, so when the report was disclosed, let's see, what is the actual quote? Let me read the actual quote here. Days later, so this is after it was reestablished on March 5th. Days later, Risk IQ says NutriBullet finally seemed to plug its website vulnerabilities and stop the skinner, but the company's unresponsiveness made the whole process slow and disjointed. And then the second company kind of called out on this was actually Tupperware, which is kind of funny to me, but I've been I've actually liked Tupperware most of my life. I was a child of the 70s, so
yeah.
The quote here was, Tupperware proved similarly difficult for Malwarebytes to contact. While some of this can be chalked up to the normal challenges of disclosing security issues to companies, Malwarebytes head of threat intelligence, Jerome Segura, points out that the pandemic may be creating challenges and distractions that make it even harder for companies to react to security incidents. Yes, maybe. But here's the quote that I was like, I don't know. I felt bad about this, but one person I spoke to at Tupperware got upset with me and said, basically, I don't know what to do about what you're asking me right now. Everybody is working from home. It's a difficult time. So I feel like that's the type of quote you'll get from somebody who is not at all associated with their website or security, right? I mean,
right.
What are you going to do? But at the same time, both of those types of companies, do they have their own, security staff and site staff, or do they outsource everything? I actually would think Tupperware would, but at a minimum, but I don't know about the...
I'm going to guess it's outsourced. A lot of web development and, that's not their core business. So,
Well, I would only be speculating. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, it's hard in times like these to maybe get the right person on the phone at the time. But one of the reasons why there should be more compliance to things like contact addresses, disclosure addresses, responsiveness requirements. But anyway, that was my follow-up for Magecart. We'll throw a link in here. There was a short Wired article about it.
Cool. Well, my article that I stumbled on this week was, we've talked about multi-factor authentication before, two-factor.
Once or twice.
I love my little YubiKeys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, this one caught my eye because the title, it's a Krebs article. And the title is Turn on MFA, so turn on multi-factor authentication before the crooks do it for you. So, for me, that's total clickbait headline.
Uh-huh.
Like, what the heck does that mean? And so basically it outlines the story of something that happened to a guy with and his sons, I guess. So they had Xbox accounts, and Dad had controlled the Xbox accounts until they turned 18. They turned 18, and they converted those accounts to adult accounts. And apparently, the son, the newly minted Xbox adult owners reused passwords at other sites. And so apparently, they didn't know what had happened until their Xbox account got taken over, and the son admitted to the dad, well, I use the same password I do in other places, and so that must have been happened. And they didn't really catch it until, they caught it when their bank account started to get drained because they were buying up a bunch of games on Xbox with his profile and all his account. So Dad went to the safe, pulled out the list of recovery codes, which, great, but none of those recovery codes would work because it was still expecting you to give them the two-factor code from the SMS or the Authenticator app or whatever it was. So they called Microsoft and said, hey, my account's been stolen. Can you give us our back? And so Microsoft went and said, okay, here's, as part of the back and forth, here's 20 questions you need to use to prove that it was your account, like, the serial number of the original Xbox and other things to prove that, yes, they are the real owner. But when it got to the question of, now we need a two-factor code, they're like, well, that's the point. We can't.
Oh, yeah.
Because the people who had stolen the account added two-factor. And so Microsoft refused, and probably, it's hard to, I'm on the fence on this one, right? If there's enough that you can prove that it really was yours and it was really hacked and someone did two-factor, okay. But then the other side is, could you get all that information through other means, and two-factor is the only thing that saves you? So Microsoft's in a tough spot here. If they don't give them the access, then ouch. If they do give them the access and it was actually wrong, then even worse. So I can't.
I got hosed. I don't quite know what I was supposed to have done properly, but I have an account, and it's actually a brokerage account. I guess I won't say the name of the company per se, but I have a brokerage account where I had a two-factor app, but I didn't log into there very often, or I don't log into there very often. And it was a couple of months after I got my new phone that I went to log on, and I realized that that I didn't use 1Password for the Authenticator app, or I'm not even sure they support 1Password. I think I moved it there though, so I'd have to triple check on that. But I had wiped my old phone, and it was not, the security code was not set up. Even though the app was installed, the security code was not set up in my new phone, and I had to recover my account and they removed the second factor, and basically reset my password, and I re-added my second factor again. But that's where I don't remember if I did it with the same app or moved it to 1Password. But yeah, I mean, that happened to me 6 months ago or so.
So I guess that's really something to watch out for, is being two factors great, but then, what happens if you lose the second factor? That's why I'm a little curious about the recovery codes. I thought that the whole point of the recovery codes is if you lose everything, these recovery codes. But apparently that wasn't the case here. So Microsoft wouldn't reset the password without that second factor code. But what Microsoft did end up doing was help them create a new account. They enabled two-factor themselves, migrated the profile from the old account to the new account, and they went along their merry way. So they just completely lost control out of their account. I assume Microsoft blocked it from whoever was stealing, because it had obviously credit card charges going to stuff that they would
hopefully
not
they
be
took
willing
their
to pay for anymore.
Credit card info off of that, and
right. So anyways, I guess this was, so just a few reminders there. Don't reuse your passwords. Use unique passwords for all your different sites. If the two-factor is available, and with tools like 1Password, which you and I both know and love, it will actually tell you, hey, this website that you have a password for also supports two-factor. Would you like to set it up? So I've gone through occasionally looking through my 1Password for sites that now support two-factor and adding that.
Oh, I haven't actually done that.
Yeah, you should go check it out.
I will have to.
And
do that.
if the website, which still drives me crazy, is I don't have a lot of banking accounts. I have essentially two, and one of them doesn't support two-factor or multi-factor at all. It's username and password, and you know which one this is because I think you have the same card. And the other only supports SMS, which, okay. So the answer is, if SMS is your only option, that's still better than not two-factor. But if you can get one that supports the OTP, the one-time password, use one of those. Be careful about, you use one that you can back up, that will encrypt your backup. So like in your case that you mentioned, you could restore that backup to your new phone, or, 1Password. If you store your one-time passwords in apps like 1Password or I think Duo or these other ones, pretty much any of these now. And then the cherry on top, the ice cream, is if it supports the YubiKey, which would be a favorite. Which then leads me into what I saw at WWDC was this week, Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference.
I was kind of thinking we would talk a little bit more about WWDC stuff maybe next week.
Yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, I've seen some of the announcements.
So one of the ones that caught my eye immediately was Apple is now introducing Face ID and Touch ID support for websites, leveraging the whole WebAuthn stuff that we talked about. I should have looked up the episode. We talked about it a few months back, being able to support that. And so that paves the way for being able to use Face ID and Touch ID for logging into websites the same way you do today with apps. So I'll link a couple articles there, and you can see there's the developer article I have thrown here in the notes. You can watch the video on how to support that for a website.
But like Touch ID will only work on laptops. Face ID will only work on your phone.
Touch ID works on the iPhone SE.
Ancient phones.
iPhone SE is not ancient.
Okay. All right. So
I so badly wish that we had Touch ID, because this whole wearing mask things ruins the...
You know what?
I have to PIN code every time now.
It drives me crazy. Yeah. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Apple's like, we're just like, 2 years into the ramp for Face ID, and then something like this comes along. There's such a big difference between just picking the phone up and having it automatically unlock, and picking the phone up and then having it wait to fail, present you with the PIN code keyboard, and then you have to type it in.
My boy went into high school, and we had a deal if he got really good grades in 8th grade, which was a weird way to finish out the year based on everything going on this year. But we had some deals that if he did certain things, I would get him his own iPhone. He has been, using cracked hand-me-downs for the last couple years. And so when he graduated, he hit all his targets. I sound like a sales guy now. He hit all his targets, and so we went in and I split paying for an iPhone for him, and he got the brand new iPhone SE 2020, which has Touch ID, and he loves it. He can pick up the phone when we go to lunch, and we'll have our masks, and he shows me. He'll pick up the phone and say, "My phone's open. What's yours doing, Dad?" He knows how to rub it in already. Points for the boy.
That's a teenager for you. Yeah, well played.
Anyways, so there you go. That's what I saw this week. Enable two-factor for the things you can. Otherwise, a hacker might do it for you.
That is brutal. All right.
What'd you well,
I got two. The first one is about I think the tweet I saw about this is 3 words you don't want to see associated with a safe browser is remote code execution. Something like that.
Yeah.
But this is basically it's a security piece of security software, which is, we're in the security software business. So I've been involved with lots of historical things. So I'm not really throwing stones here. But this is the way that this was found, and, what the issue is is a tricky little bit. But essentially this software has a, safe browser that the intent of which is to, basically intercept pages and do some inspection on them to, if the certificates don't match, for example, don't allow it to continue. Which, the browser has a page, but if you want to, be safer, don't even allow the user to, to go to an unsafe site like that. But the reason why so essentially, though, in order to accomplish this, you have to do what's called a man in the middle, right? You have to, or sometimes also called break and inspect, right? So if you've got an end-to-end encrypted session with SSL, the whole point is that you've agreed on a session key to encrypt and for the other side to be able to decrypt the content. But if there's a man in the middle, the whole point of having a man in the middle, or what the man in the middle has to do, is it has to basically negotiate let's say you and I are talking and there's a man in the middle, or a bad actor in the middle. It negotiates a session key with you and itself, and then negotiates a session key with me and itself. And then we each think that we're talking to the other side, but we're not. In the middle, they are decrypting and possibly altering the content that's coming back and forth. And in order to actually set this up, you have to have the ability to install a certificate of your own so that you can basically write or create certificates that, that the browser will cause the browser to accept the connection. But anyway, so once you've done that, though, you have to be careful. I mean, you always have to be careful with security software, but you have to be especially careful. And this is a really tricky thing. So what was happening, or what the vulnerability was, I don't know that they said this was exploited. It sounds like this was discovered and disclosed and fixed without exploitation potentially. But if you were talking to a malicious server, somebody that knew that this software was installed, basically they could force a request, a good request, which would, with like, say, a valid certificate that works, and then a second request, but then the malicious server would serve a page that is presents with a certificate from the same site, but an invalid certificate. And so that would cause the quote unquote secure browser to say, oh, that certificate's invalid, and then generate a error page. So you generate the error page that says, hey, this is an invalid site. Right. You shouldn't go there. But then since the initial quote unquote good page, as far as literally the Chrome or browser you're in, had loaded the good page would be able to then request the error page from the local man in the middle, the local interceptor server. And since the browser would think, oh, well, those both came from the same origin. There's this whole concept of, you have to be at the same origin to be able to get access to all your cookies and other things from the browser that gets cached in the browser. Since the browser thought that they were both from the same origin, the quote unquote good page, the valid page, can execute a request to the local server, retrieve the cached error page, and then since the browser thinks that they're in the same, they're from the same origin, all of the session cookies for that proxy server essentially are available to it. And from that, they could basically do command and control against the security software itself and ask it to install software and do other bad things. So it's basically escalation of privilege or remote code execution, potentially. So anyway, it was just kind of a tricky little vulnerability, I thought, and an interesting one. That was kind of clever, I guess. It looks like it was disclosed responsibly and has been fixed already, or a fix is rolling out and should be automatically applied. So my second article was about printers.
Yay!
So I'm not sure I can go a week without having a Catalan post. So this is a ZDNet that has. Let's see, what's the title? 80,000 printers are exposing their IPP port online, or Internet Printing Protocol. So this is an article of a company, Shadow Server, that they scanned all 4 billion IPv4 addresses looking for printers exposing the IPP. And they found... an average, it says in total, experts said they usually found an average of around 80,000 printers exposed online via the IPP port on a daily basis, which is a lot. Seems like a lot to me.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily say they were all vulnerable to any single vulnerability per se, but that's a lot of printers to be directly connected to the internet and have an exposed.
That's a lot of things you can print to. Random things to print to.
Right? And again, they didn't necessarily say that all of them are allow you to print unauthenticated. So, I don't.
Oh, come on. Who sets up printer authentication?
Well, I would not take a bet that let's say all 80,000 of those are well protected with authentication. Let's say that. Very,
ouch. Very
unlikely. So, but even short of that, the first thing is that there's evidently a way of gathering IPP. The IPP protocol has a way of asking for printer information. And so, this means that you can, it didn't say all of them. It just said that a large percentage of IPP capable printers returned additional information about themselves, such as printer names, locations, models, firmware versions, organization names, and even Wi-Fi network names, which is interesting. So as a scouting tool, as a land and expand point,
right
there, it's an issue. And then the other comment in here said that around a quarter of the total number of IPP capable printers, around 21,000, also exposed their make and model details. So, and this is important because if you find a vulnerability, to a specific make or a specific make and model, well, a significant fraction of them are happily broadcasting or, allowing somebody to query and find them easily. So the quote is, "This obviously makes it much easier for attackers to locate and target populations of devices vulnerable to a specific vulnerability." So, ugly.
Ouch.
Understatement of the article: it is unlikely that many people need to make such a printer accessible to everyone. These devices should be firewalled and or have an authentication mechanism enabled.
Well, yeah. And it's not just the IPP stuff, the Wi-Fi enabled printers. If you live in a place like I do, where I have neighbors close enough within Wi-Fi range, I can see my neighbors' Wi-Fi printers, and some of them I can print to by doing the Wi-Fi direct printing, unauthenticated. So
yeah,
it's not just you take it out of the box, you plug it in, you turn it on, you print something, and you're done. If you're not like me or you,
right, right. Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right. Good enough. How about we talk about something fun? What'd you bring me tonight?
All right. So go to this link. It's someone who has decided to see what the sound of Jello sounds like as it goes through a shredder.
Okay, hold on. I got to turn on audio. Oh, come on.
I'm going to have to edit that in. the actual audio in.
Okay, got me. Got me.
Well, if you scroll down, they actually do have what it really sounds like. If someone said, "Hey, can you actually? What does it really sound like?" Oh, where'd it go?
Oh, sorry. I had closed the tab.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
Anyways,
so if I scroll down, betrayal.
I was trying to find. They do, and it just sounds. It sounds like you would expect Jello to sound like as it goes through a shredder.
Hold on, I gotta find the one that.
I can't find it now either. So I wonder if it was a different link.
Okay. I have now heard Jello through a shredder.
So
that is funny. All right. You are amused.
Which cracked me up because at the beginning you had mentioned the follow-up was the Rick Astley on a curveball episode, and I was like, "Oh, I should mention that. I should hint at that."
All right. Well, since you'll have already put the music in for this, we'll say that he just totally rickrolled me. Okay.
I'll have to find a clip of that and throw that in the appropriate spot of the audio.
Yes, you will.
Anyways, what did you,
that was your something fun? That was your something fun?
That was my something fun.
Okay, well,
yes.
I hope that you enjoyed that. Okay, well,
I did enjoy that, mostly because we haven't been doing video when we've been doing the podcast.
Oh.
And I actually got to sit and watch your reaction because I couldn't hear the audio. So it was, yes.
Okay, good.
Chef kiss.
Did you? Yeah, I'm sure the eye roll or whatever I did. I don't know what I did with my face. Okay, that's funny. I do not play poker, though. I'll tell you that much. Okay, so my first one, I actually have two something funs, kind of. But my first one, I'm not sure this is real. I really want to believe that it's real, but
it looks super cool.
I just think it's probably fake, but it's still like fun. So check it out. So, cause we talked about engineering vids. I think that was even your something fun sometime long ago, but I've been following them for forever. And this is a guy in a excavator with a I don't even know what that kind of attachment, a claw attachment on, and he picks up a basketball with the excavator and swings the thing and like makes a basket 3 times in a row. And
if it had done it once,
the video's pretty well edited, and
if it had been once, I would have believed it, but 3 times in a row hits that uncanny valley of
I think it's fake.
Incredulity.
Yes, incredulity is a good word. So anyway, but I want to believe. I want to believe. My other kind of thing that I was like, I should at least say that's one. Because I think I feel like I've mentioned once or twice that we've come down and we've watched a couple Smallvilles or something like that. So we finished just earlier tonight, approximately 2 hours ago, we finished watching Smallville.
How many seasons is it?
There are 10 seasons.
So 20 some odd episodes a season, so 200 plus episodes?
There would be 217 episodes.
Hmm.
There would be, let's see, sorry, I just did the math and then I hit the clear as I brought my calculator to the front. 217. And I just multiplied by 40 minutes because I think they were 42-minute episodes or something like that. But so 8,680 minutes or divided by 60, 145 hours. That, when you put it that way, it doesn't sound that bad, actually.
I was just going to say that's a lot of time.
Huh.
I think in my head how much time, if I watch an hour of TV at night, that's 145 days.
I'm pretty sure we've been working on this for a year. Like this is a meta accomplishment. I wish, I think that, yeah, I wonder if it'd be nice if Hulu had you watched this on whatever time frame.
Oh, right, yeah.
And maybe they do online. I've never looked on the like website or something like that. Anyway, so we finished Smallville, and I have to say, it's kind of amazing that we watched 217 episodes where the end was never really in doubt, right? I mean, the whole thing is the story of Superman.
Right.
But they did it. I really enjoyed it. My kids were getting a little cynical towards the end, and and I was like, hush, you hush. Let me enjoy Superman. Stop being a teenager. But anyway, Smallville, it was great. I think I watched a couple of seasons back when they were relatively fresh, because the season ended in 2011. So it was 2001 through 2011. And we watched a couple in the, mid-aughts. And then
I do remember watching it as well. And
yeah,
obviously losing interest at some point. I know the characters, and obviously the characters, but I know the actors, and I know some of the stories that, it's set in his teenage years, right? In high school.
Yeah.
In, of course, the town Smallville. So, yeah.
Well, the first 4 years are in high school, but then they go 6 more years post high school. So,
I don't think I ever got to the post high school part. Yeah. So,
well, no, I wondered what they would do, because we'd never gotten post high school either prior to the marathon. But there you go. I have now got that a bucket list item. I've watched. In fact, this may be the only 10 season series that I've ever watched every episode of. But of course, it would be a superhero one.
Of course,
yeah, it's good. Anyway, so Smallville. I can't recommend that anyone sit down and watch 144.6 hours of TV, but pick an episode out here or there. They're they're pretty cheesy, some of them.
Yeah.
But it's all good. It's all good. So,
yeah.
There we go. That was fun.
Well,
I don't know what we're going to watch now as a family, because we won't have any more Smallvilles to watch.
Huh.
Actually, I know. We're not all the way through Next Generation. We're only in season 4. It'll probably be that. We got to finish that one off.
And thanks again for lunch this week. We actually got together in person.
That is totally something fun. Yes.
Which I think you texted, "Hey, I'm going to be near your area for lunch. You want to grab something?" I'm like, "Yes, please." Even though I had eaten.
You ate there the day before.
I took my daughter out. So I try to take the kids out to eat, once a week, just to get out of the house and not be stuck in the house. And I had just eaten it was Five Guys at the burger place the day before. And you said, "You sure you could do that 2 days in a row?" I'm like, my need for non-familiar human interaction outweighs my desire to not eat at Five Guys again. So yes, it was a very pleasant time.
That was nice. It was nice. That was the first time I think I've eaten out. And I mean, it was nice they had tables outside to sit at and nobody else was around, which is cool. But I think that's the first time we haven't done takeout since March. Which, yeah.
That was definitely a highlight of my week. Oddly, something so little was just made my day. So
having hot French fries, hot Cajun fries, that was really good. That was really good. Awesome. It is. All right. Well, be well. Stay safe. Don't be a guinea pig.
Stay. Have a good night, John.
Have a good week. Talk to you later, Eric.
Right. Bye.
Bye.